I was always promised that if I ever met my dad, I would be instantly unalived. And the entire story of the cult that I was raised in was resting on that fact. So when my grandmother, the cult leader, and my mother, who created this whole story, found out that I met my dad, it was real bad. My grandmother was literally screaming on the phone, "You've killed us all!" And she was just saying it over and over really loud. It wasn't even on speakerphone. I was like holding it very far away. And anyway, it was loud. Growing up in a cult was not nice, but it was also my whole world. Like, it was the only family that I had, especially because I was homeschooled. So it was just like us all day long, my whole life. And as soon as I gain a father, I just lose everyone else. They didn't talk to me for 5 years. My mom blocked my number. And yeah, she was super abusive, but she was also my mom. And it was really sad to not have a mom or a brother or a grandmother. So after 5 years, I contact my grandmother and I'm like, okay, is this just, we're just never gonna talk to each other again? Now recall the last interaction that I had with her. And she's like, oh, it's so nice to hear from you. You said that you never wanted to talk to us again, so I just wanted to respect your wishes. How are you? I'm like, oh, that's right, the gaslighting. But whatever, I'll talk to Gma. My mom's a whole different story. She is really dug in her heels about now it's an extreme security situation. And she went from, if you ever get in contact with your dad, we'll be instantly unalived, to 5 years later, anytime now. Not a very efficient cult. But the person I'm most concerned about is my brother. 5 years ago, he completely blocked me and I have no idea why. I don't know what they told him to just cancel our relationship. So now that I'm back in contact, I ask about my brother. Now understand, this is like a failure to launch person. Never went to college, never went on a date, never had a job. And my grandmother tells me they haven't seen him in years. So I'm thinking he's run away, is he still alive? And this becomes a deep worry. So my brother is missing, my mom is ghosted, and my grandmother's happy to chat anytime. Now 5 more years go by, and another more distant member of my family sends me a message and is like, hey, I think that your grandmother is trying to make you think disappeared somewhere, but just so you know, he lives in the basement and they're delivering food to his door. He's been in the basement the whole time. You think at this point I wouldn't be shocked about cult leaders lying, but I confront my grandmother about this and I'm like, he's in the basement? And she's like, oh yeah, he lives in that room in the basement. But I was being honest, I haven't seen him in years because he's in the basement. So I get a plane ticket and I go to the place that I grew up to try to get in contact with my brother who is living in a basement. I physically deliver a note to his door and my mother calls the police. So I'm like, what's the point of this? Another year goes by and I get a text from a stranger. He's like, hi Lydia, my name is Captain Daryl and I live across the street from your grandmother and she's so sweet and we've become such good friends. You guys, people seriously love my grandmother. It's great cult skills right there. And he's like, it's so sad that she doesn't get to see you or her great granddaughter. Anytime you want, you can come stay at my house for free and visit your grandmother. And I kid you not, we had a road trip planned through my hometown within the next few weeks. And we were just driving through because what is there to see there? But we're like, cool, we'll come. So Captain Daryl has this whole thing arranged where he's gonna invite my cult leader grandmother over and surprise her that we're there. And we're like, I don't know how this is gonna go. And miracle of miracles, it was amazing. My grandmother, especially performing in front of this neighbor friend, she's like, oh, it's so amazing to see you. And it was actually really cool because she was getting to meet her great granddaughter, my daughter. This is 4 generations of women. And I'm like, feel free to invite mom over. And that evening, my mother walks into the house. I haven't seen her in 10 years. She hasn't talked to me. And I guess she's just dealing with the cognitive dissonance of not having the satanic people break the windows and kidnap us all. But it was so nice. And my daughter and I sang songs and we had dinner together. We traveled all that way. We showed up with love. We're having beautiful conversation. It's respectful. I'm creating very kind boundaries. When my mother is telling me that Satan worshipers are gonna come and unalive me at any time still. But it's happy tears and good vibes. And then I ask the question, can I see my brother? My mother gets up. She walks out the door across the street to the very home that my brother lives in. And she calls the police. Anyway, we're gonna drive through around Christmas time and see what happens.